Folks, they're coming for the Jews first, they're coming for the Christians second. You're going to face persecution, violence, harassment. It's coming to your church, to your front door, to your school system, to your city. Hi, this is Robert Stearns in Israel with your weekly Israel Frontline update. And there's so much to talk about. This is my last day in Israel. We've been here for almost 2 weeks, and what a 2 weeks it has been. Israel has just observed Yom Kippur, of course, the high holy day of the year, where literally the nation humbles itself in reverence before God. It's an extraordinary thing to see that even the most secular Israelis have a sense of reverence, have a sense of respect for Yom Kippur. This Yom Kippur, of course, calls to mind Yom Kippur of 51 years ago, the Yom Kippur War. Israel was set upon by Arab armies. You know, the longer things go on, the more they stay the same. 51 years ago, Israel was the victim of a surprise attack by surrounding Arab armies. And then 1 year ago on Simchat Torah, not Yom Kippur, but another high holy day in the same season, in the same basic time of year as Yom Kippur, Israel went through the October 7th attack. Now, 1 year later, this has been the first year, obviously, commemoration, and kibbutz members returned to their homes, many of them for the first time. One of the things that we fail to realize in America and around the world is that a huge percentage of Israel's population is currently displaced. It's impossible right now to live in the far south or the far north because the rocket attacks from Hamas in the south and from Hezbollah in the north are just relentless. It is just constant bombardment, and we've seen that since we've been here. Literally almost every day in the far south and in the far north, sirens going off, people running to bomb shelters. Thank God the Iron Dome offering protection, although increasingly a number of these rockets are getting through. How do people expect Israel to live? Do they expect Israel to just give up and die? That's not the Israel of today. That's not the Jew of today. A generation after the Holocaust, Israel understands that they not only have the right to fight for their survival, they have the requirement to fight for their survival because the nations have proved that they will not defend Israel or the Jewish people. And so the Jewish people have to defend themselves, and they have to rely on God to defend them. Now let's talk a little bit about Hezbollah. The Hezbollah terror group has been exploiting an environmental group on the border, and they have been building tunnels and storing weapons and spying on Israel. This has been discovered. Hezbollah exploited the Green Without Borders Environmental NGO. It's unclear whether they were exploiting their activities in collusion, I don't know. But the bottom line is that Israel has discovered tunnels with stored weapons and built military observation posts inside this Green Without Borders facility located near the border with Israeli communities. And so we see yet again this reality. You know, it'll be reported in the news, Israel attacks an environmental group. But what's actually happening is this environmental group, knowingly or unknowingly, is being used by Hezbollah as a front for their weapons and their underground spying operation. And so Israel found this and has been dealing with it accordingly. Now, over the holiday weekend of Rosh Hashanah, Hezbollah launched rocket attacks, 800 rockets over the Rosh Hashanah weekend. These attacks are becoming more forceful, more common, and more deadly. Sadly, an Israeli couple was killed in Kiryat Shmona on Wednesday, a victim of these rocket attacks. So Israel has begun limited ground operations in southern Lebanon. Israel is fighting a war on 7 different fronts. You have Iran, you have Hezbollah in Lebanon, you have the Houthis, you have Hamas in Gaza, and we can go on and on. Israel is currently planning an attack on Iran in response to the 180 ballistic missiles that were launched at Israel on October the 1st. You saw my video. We were in the bomb shelter. And so Israel is committed to responding to this aggression. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, I had the opportunity of meeting him again. This is the second time this year I've had the privilege of meeting with Minister Yoav Gallant. We met at the site of the Nova massacre on the 1-year anniversary. And he has said this about the soon-to-be launched attack against Iran. He said, as we have shown until now in this war and in all arenas, whoever attacks Israel will pay a price. Our strike, speaking of the upcoming strike against Iran, will be powerful, precise, and above all, surprising. They will not understand what happened or how it has happened. And certainly we have seen that with the recent, amazingly, did the pager explosion operation, did the walkie-talkie explosion operation. And although by its very definition, these assassinations could not have been any more targeted. This is literally the pagers and the walkie-talkies of Hezbollah or Hamas operatives, yet Israel is still criticized as not being targeted enough in their strikes. In the United Nations, Hezbollah is asking for a truce. Of course, Hezbollah, not only has Nasrallah been eliminated, but his number 2 and now his number 3 has been eliminated. And so Hezbollah has asked for a truce in order to regroup. Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, my good friend Danny Denon, said Israel has no desire to stay in Lebanon. Again, folks, Israel is not expansionist by nature. How long has Israel had peace with Egypt? And guess what? We've got no dead Egyptians right now. Could we just pause and think about that, folks, for a moment? There are no dead Egyptians. Why? Because Egypt is not attacking Israel. Egypt is not attacking Israel. There are no dead Egyptians. Wow. Do the math, people. Do the math. If you don't want dead people in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Iran, wherever, make peace with Israel. Stop killing Israelis or attempting to do so. Folks, it's not that difficult. If you'd like peace in the Middle East, recognize the Jewish democratic state of Israel and stop attacking them. That's the pathway to peace. This is not complicated. It is not obscure. It is not nuclear physics. It's basic 101 math. Egypt made peace with Israel. They have not attacked them. There are no dead Egyptians. Jordan made peace with Israel. They have not attacked them. There are no dead Jordanians. It's not that difficult, people. All right, the Houthis. And of course, we all understand the great border conflict, right? That the Houthis have with Israel. Oh, I'm sorry. The Houthis don't share a border with Israel. Yemen is nowhere near the border of Israel. And yet, the Houthis are attacking with Israel. Why? Because this has nothing to do with borders or land or a Palestinian state. So could we please tell all of the high-scoring SAT, ACT students at Columbia and Harvard and these other schools, otherwise known as idiots, could we please explain to them that this has nothing to do with Palestinian statehood? This has nothing to do with Israel refusing a two-state solution. Israel has accepted a two-state solution over and over and over again. The Palestinians and much, not all, of the Arab world have refused to accept the Jewish democratic state of Israel. And as long as that is the case, this is where we are going to be. So folks, as complicated as the Middle East is, and I understand that it's complicated, it's also as simple as what I just described to you. As soon as the greater Arab, theocratic, Islamic, fascist regimes recognize that the Jewish state is not going away and that they need to make peace, when that happens, there'll be peace in the Middle East. Until they recognize the Jewish and democratic state, we're going to be stuck right here. Okay, back to the Houthis. Several Houthi missiles and drones have made it past Israel's air defenses and into Israeli territory, but then have been shot down or landed in open field. However, several of these missiles have gotten closer to central Israel and are getting closer to the airport. And so it's really only El Al Airlines that's operating. The implications of this, again, people don't think about the refugees. They don't think about commerce and about travel, tourism. Israel relies so heavily on tourism for its economy. All of this is impacted. And so please, folks, if you can go right now to eagleswings.org/donate. We have given away tens of thousands of dollars on this trip. We have helped build a bomb shelter right here on this trip. We have helped Abraham's Bread with a significant gift to feed those who are falling through the cracks in the social needs department. We have reached out consistently with your generosity to make a difference here on the land. Now, back in America, unbelievably, terrifyingly, October 5th and October 7th, all across the United States of America, there were the enablers of Hamas, the enablers of genocidal terror flooded the streets of America. The enablers of genocidal terror flooded the streets of America on October 5th and October 7th. Amazingly, in New York City, Eagles Wings was the only non-Jewish group on October 5th to stand up and to make our voice heard with our counter-protest. This is all surrounding the Bonhoeffer Declaration. The Bonhoeffer Declaration is your first step toward a response. Please go to bonhoeffer.org, sign the Bonhoeffer Declaration, then take it to your pastor, your prayer group, your denominational officials, your Christian school, your college, your local school board, and let's decide, are we going to stand on the right side of history or not? Because the new report out by the ADL lets us know that there have been 10,000 anti-Semitic incidents in the United States this year since October 7th. 10,000. This is a 200% increase this year. 8,000 incidents of verbal or written harassment, 1,800 incidents of vandalism, 150 incidents of physical assault. There's a pastor on this trip who told me that out front of their church, after October 7th, they put out a statement, a little sign, we stand with the people of Israel. Their windows were broken at the church. Folks, they're coming for the Jews first, they're coming for the Christians second. This is not a matter of whether or not you're going to face persecution, violence, harassment. It's coming to your church, to your front door, to your school system, to your city. The question is, are you going to push it back or are you going to wait until it is too late? All right, friends, from my last day in Israel, this is your weekly Israel Frontline update. Hit the share button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We are every week bringing you an update on what's happening in Israel, what's happening in America, at the United Nations, around the world. If you want the inside information, if you want the accurate information, if you want to know how to pray, how to study, how to stand, how to make a difference, become a part of the global Eagles Wings movement. Become a partner today, eagleswings.org/donate. We are raising up, by God's grace, in the spirit of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, tens of thousands of watchmen on the wall who are saying today, for Zion's sake, I will not be silent. For Jerusalem's sake, I will not be still. If that's you, if you care about Genesis 12:3, if you care about your family, your children, your grandchildren, your church, your community, being in alignment on the right side of history, then get involved in the global Eagles Wings movement today. Join us at eagleswings.org. I'll see you next week on the Israel Frontline Update.